an imbalance in these doshas can cause all sorts of problems. And when these doshas are imbalanced, there's health and happiness. So today we're looking at the really, really important topic of digestion. So digestion is essential for human health. We have to have strong, healthy digestion. We have to be able to take the food that we bring in and digest it so that we make good organs and materials within the physiology. So strong digestion is essential for health, and weak digestion can cause all sorts of problems. So again, today we have our three doctors along with us, and they're all going to be giving their own perspective on digestion. And we're going to start off with Dr. Brennan. And so Dr. Brennan, can you give us your perspective on the main digestive systems within the physiology?
Sure, Noel. I'd like to start with what Ayurveda would consider Jataragni, and what we, from our own perspective, would consider the digestive system as we know it. And if we just start at the mouth and we recognize the digestive system is really one big long tube that ends up at the anus, with, in the meantime, connections from very important digestive organs like the liver and the pancreas, then we take in food into our mouth, and there are both salivary and mucus glands in the mouth that moisten, and then we chew and break down the food, and this will make it much more easily digestible. The salivary gland gives us enzymes that start already to break down and digest carbohydrates, and now the tongue projects this bolus or ball of food into the back of the throat, and sphincter opens at the top of the gullet. A wave of contraction of muscle in the gullet pushes the food down. Sphincter opens at the bottom of the gullet. This food is in the stomach. Now, the stomach is an organ which will hold the food while continuing the process of digestion. In the Ayurvedic context, there is a kapha which we've already mentioned, a bodhika kapha in the mouth, and this refers to those salivary mucus glands which start the process of digestion. And there's prana, which actually is the impulse of swallowing. And then there is in the stomach now a kledika kapha, and this would refer to the mucus. And this also, the stomach is considered the prime organ for kaphas to be nourished in through the body, which is very interesting, because we know in the stomach that the digestion now starts working on the sugars which are absorbed from the stomach, as well as liquid absorbed from the stomach and nothing else. So these would actually be, very kapha nourishment to the body. And so in the stomach there is acid, and also the kledika kapha in the stomach moistens and protects the lining of the stomach from the acid. The pH falls to about 3, which starts the processes of digestion of protein. And when the stomach is also churning the food and mixing, and the process of digestion break it down, and then it gets to the fundus, the bottom of the stomach, where the sphincter can open. It goes into the duodenum. We're now into the small intestine. Now, the lower intestine and the lower stomach and the small intestine in Ayurvedic context is called Jataragni, and here's where the vast majority of the digestion is going to happen. In the first portion of the small intestine is a tube about 22 feet long, and is about 1 inch diameter. And the surface area is incredibly about 5,400 square yards inside this tube, because of a lot of folds, but because of almost innumerable microvilli, little finger-like projections, so tiny, but it gives a vast absorption area for the nourishment. In the duodenum, fluid comes in from the liver containing bile and bile salts, which start the process of breaking down the fats. And from the pancreas comes the enzymes that will digest proteins, fats. And now all these are being broken down into smaller molecules, which then get absorbed. And then in these microvilli, which are helping this absorption, are connected to veins, mesenteric veins that bring all the nutrients absorbed to the liver, where they're going to be processed further. And that's also very interesting, because Ayurveda talks about 5 fundamental fires in the liver, which transform what have been absorbed down to the very finest level of the 5 elements. But So there's a transformation that goes on in the liver, and then it'll be transformed into rasa, which will bring you to the next talk in a few minutes from Dr. Nahid, and she will be talking about how then from that rasa all the tissues in the body are nourished, and how from that nourishment comes our health or our disease, depending on how good these fires are. But the Jata-Ragni, very important because it has a very powerful influence to enliven the liver and the tissues. When the food has reached the end of the small intestine, it opens into the large intestine, about 3 inches wide, about 5 feet of it, down to the anus. Here is incredible what happens in terms of a microbiome which now from a medical point of view we can begin to understand the connections with the gut and the nervous system and the immune system, because the microbiome creates short-chain fatty acids, which and also about 30 different neurotransmitters, including serotonin, 90% of our happy hormone, and 50% of our dopamine, which is our motivating hormone. They're created by the microbiome in the large gut. And so Ayurveda always said the digestion was the seat of health or disease in the body. If it's healthy, we create ojas and we create a great vitality and strength in tissues, in our immunity. But if it's disturbed by in any way, we get ama or toxins that create disease. And so it's fascinating that there's about 500 million nerves in the digestive system, more than is in your spine. And 90% of those feed information back up through the vagus nerve to the brain. So the gut is incredible. It's a nervous organ. It's a hormonal system. It's creating the neurotransmitters. It protects the body from intrusion when it's healthy. Especially the microbiome will protect the body from absorbing toxins. But if our digestive system gets disturbed in any way, then we can understand how Ayurveda will put so much emphasis on it for health and so much importance on healing it when it's diseased. In the colon, well, in the intestines, there's samana vata, which is what's allowing us to absorb. And in the colon, this is the seat of apana vata, which will eliminate eventually what we have not used in our feces. And that will be a lot of dead bacteria plus fiber that wasn't used, plus any residues. And so that is the digestive system from the modern perspective, with the insights coming in from Ayurveda being so true and so confirmed by modern medicine's perspective. The intestines, the seat of nourishing pitta in the body, the colon is then the seat of nourishing vata in the body. And as we say, all those nutrients transformed into rasa, and rasa being handing over to Dr. Nahid to take us from there in our trip to good health.
Okay, Don, so that's fascinating. So what you're saying there about serotonin is very interesting, because I suppose most people think of serotonin and they think of the brain, but you're actually saying that it's actually manufactured, it's actually created down in the gut. So that's, I can see why.
It's fascinating, Noel. I mean, up to now, why would digestive devices heal rheumatoid arthritis? How could that be? Well, we know that now the microbiome in the gut produces these short-chain fatty acids, particularly butyric acid. We know that actually modulates the immune system. It tones it down when it's got overactive and starting to attack our own tissues, as well as it knocks out the inflammatory molecules of the immune system. So it brings a great deal of control over that situation. So
Okay, so it's no wonder Ayurveda places such huge emphasis on what we eat and how we eat and having a really strong digestion. And it's got so many tips, which Dr. Richvinder is going to give us later on about how to maintain that strong digestion. So really having that process from where you take the food into your mouth, the quality of the food you're taking in, and then right all the way through until you eliminate, but having that whole system working in a very healthy way and functioning correctly, and all the different vata, pitta and kapha digestive things there that are there in that process, it must be, really essential to have all that working as well as possible to prevent disease.
And or you can see also how you can target, say, the Jatarakni in the stomach intestine, if that needs specific, or the Samana Vata if the absorption is not good, or the Apana Vata for elimination. So the Ayurveda is actually understanding functional features that can be addressed in terms of restoring balance and health.
That's fantastic. Again, Ayurveda pinpointing not just the symptoms of, maybe someone's having, acidic reflux or they're having an ulcer or whatever, but not just looking at the symptoms, but looking at, well, okay, there's something wrong with the digestive process, there's something wrong in here. And then you can actually pinpoint it down to one of these major elements and then go about working through herbs and through lifestyle to remedy that. It's,
Yes.
Just the brilliance of Ayurveda. So you mentioned rasa there, Dr. Brennan, and I know rasa is the first of the tissues within the body, first of the 7 dhatus. So that's what we're going to talk to now with Dr. Naheed. Dr. Naheed is joining us from India, and she's going to explain to us the process in which, once the food gets digested, what actually happens to the different components through the different levels of tissue that we form. So hi, Dr. Naheed, welcome along. Can you hear us?
Thank you, Noel. Yes, I can.
Great. So you go ahead. You're going to talk about the 7 dhatus for us today.
Hello.
We can hear you perfectly.
Yeah. Thank you, Noel. So thank you, Dr. Brennan, for elaborating the whole digestive system, how we form the first dhatu, first tissue, rasa, out of the digestion. And now I'm going to explain that if our digestion works properly, if our Agni is fine, and then we make, 7 respective tissues, and each one of them interlinked with the previous one. So what happens that when we form rasa properly, so what's the function of rasa dhatu, which can be correlated with our system, like body fluids, like plasma, like lymph. So they do nourishment. So their main purpose is to do nourishment to the entire body. And how we can assess that if someone is making the proper amount of rasa dhatu in their body, is we can see that they are having a good skin and hair, and they look, their skins are very soft, they are very enthusiastic, they are like, very energetic. But when they don't make that rasa tissue properly, then they can be restless. They will not be able to tolerate, loud music, loud sounds. They can be having symptoms like palpitation, and they can like feel exertion with little hard work. So almost the symptoms like a dehydration, because rasa ultimately represents the body fluid. So if you don't have enough body fluid, you are going to show the symptoms of dehydration. Then the next one, which forms from rasa dhatu, that is rakta, which is blood. So what happens that rasa goes into the liver, and there with the help of ranjak pitta and agni, they get transformed into blood. What they do is, the main function of blood in our body is to keep us alive, to keep us enlivened. So when we make a good rakta blood tissue, then people will be having very bright red and coppery tongue, eyes, palm and sole. So that's one of the clinical features when someone is suffering with anemia and doctor check their conjunctiva, their nails. So these are the signs that you are not making enough rakta tissue. So if someone doesn't making enough rakta tissue, then they can have a very rough, very cracky and dull, dry skin. Then forms the third tissue, which is muscle tissue, mamsa, which is also called mamsha. So their main function is to support our bones, to support our body, to to give us a form and a shape. Those who have a good amount of mangsha and the muscle tissue, they can be seen that they are very muscular, they're strong, and their joints are well covered with the muscles. When someone is not making enough of the muscle tissues, then they can be like very emaciated, especially they don't have any muscles in their neck, in their hip region, and in their belly. Then comes the fourth one, which is the meda. So meda can be correlated with adipose tissues, which ultimately saves our energy in the form of fat inside the body. So those who have excellence of meda tissue, you can be seen that they have very pleasing voice. When they speak, you just feel like to listen to them, which I actually don't have. They are very large built, and they are like very unable to tolerate exertion because they have a lot of fat in their body. And when we don't make fat tissue, adipose tissue properly, then it will be very interesting to know that we start having crackling sound in our joints. So you must be like, sometimes when you're sitting with your legs folded, and when you're just making it straight, and you hear a pop kind of sound, that can be an important symptoms when you're not making enough meda tissue, fat tissues. And people can be tired. You can feel that your eyes are very tired, like even if you're working for half an hour to 1 hour in your computer or laptop, your eyes seems to be feel very tired very easily. And of course, those who don't have fat tissues appropriately, so they will be very lean and thin kind of person. Then comes the fifth one, which is the bone tissue, which is also called asthi. So what they do is, the main function is to hold our body, to keep us stabilized. So those who have excellence of bone tissue, they can have a broader shoulder, they will be having big head, and they have really strong teeth as well, like very firm jaws as well. And when we don't make enough of our bone tissue, then there can be problems like hair fall, there can be brittle nails, there can be very scanty body hair as well, and there will be very loose kind of joints. Their joints are not stable, more easily prone to break down, get fractured. And comes the sixth one, which is majja, which the main function of that is to fill. So what they do, the majjas can be correlated with our nerves, with our bone marrow. So they fill our bones, of course, and they also do all the nervous activity inside the body. Those who have excellence of majja, the bone marrow tissue, they also have a very pleasant, very very deep kind of voice, and they looks like very very attractive. They are very lustrous, but they have a very good strength, so they can be go on WWE and can fight wrestling matches very easily. And when they don't make enough of majja dhatu, then people can suffer with a lot of vata disorders. It can be very serious kind of vata disorders as well, and our tissues become and bones become very weak. That can be seen in conditions like osteoporosis. Be correlated with our reproductive tissues. So the main function is to reproduce, to help in reproduction. And the person who have excellence of shukra dhatu, they have.
Excuse me, we lost you for a minute there, and I just wanted to point out that you've now moved on to shukra dhatu, the seventh issue. So now, just because we missed that little bit, Naheed, if you would continue what you were talking about shukra.
Yeah, we didn't hear any of the start of Shukra, Dr. Naheed. Did we hear the end of the Meja?
We just heard the end of it, I think. So
Yeah.
if Dr. Naheed starts again with Shukra.
Start with Shukra, Dr. Naheed. That would be perfect.
Yeah. So should I start from Shukra?
Yeah.
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes? We
No.
can. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the seventh one is Shukra, which can be correlated with our reproductive tissues, and those who have excellence of their Shukra dhatu, they can be seen having very firm and white and well-grown teeth and nails. And when we don't form enough of our reproductive tissues, our Shukra dhatu, then there can be a lot of problem with our reproduction. It can be premature ejaculation as well. It can be impotency as well, and all of the reproductive issues. And when we make all these tissues properly in our body, then we form the ojas, which is our stabilizing force, which is our immunity, which can prevent us from a lot of disease and keeps us healthy. So, describing everything about the doshas in detail, what I think the importance of this is because it all because of digestion. So we need to really focus on our digestion, and that's why Ayurveda considers and gives, talks about a lot of about digestion. So how we can keep our digestion nice and good going, that Dr. Rajvinder is going to elaborate you. So now I'm going to hand over to Noel.
Thanks, Dr. Naheed. So that's fascinating stuff about the 7 different tissues and, how from one stage to another, right up to our reproductive tissue. And I'm presuming, again, if there's problems in a particular area that, an Ayurvedic doctor will be looking back to which way these tissues are being formed. Are they being formed correctly? Is there a problem in this area that's causing something to happen, So again, a very in-depth look at things, So, okay, Dr. Naheed, that's wonderful. Thanks for explaining all of that to us. So, Dr. Rajvinder, it's obviously very, very important that we keep very strong digestion and have a very good digestive system. So, you're going to talk about the really important things around digestion and maybe the type of foods that we should eat and how we have to have a lot of respect for our digestive system if we want to be healthy. So, I'll hand over to you, Dr. Rajvinder.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you, Dr. Don and Dr. Naheed, for explaining the relation of Jatragni and how the different layer of tissues are formed and how to keep ourselves healthy through our digestive system. As Ayurveda say, you are what you eat, and also Ayurveda say you are what you digest. So there's a big emphasis of digestion and health in Ayurveda. So there are 3 types of agnis or digestion that I'm going to talk about. As you all familiar now at this stage by Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, how the quality of these Vata, Pitta, Kapha affect the digestive fire. And we're going to look into that correlation here. So the first Agni that I'm going to talk about is balance Agni, which is called Sama Agni in Ayurveda. So some of us are very blessed to have a very balanced Agni. So with the balanced Agni, the person feel hungry and person digest the food and feel light and energetic after eating the food, and the person has a lot of ojas, which is kind of good lustrous skin, a lot of health, and stomach feel happy, and elimination is regular. So good hunger and good kind of digestion of food and good elimination. So that's kind of a balance Agni, balanced metabolism. These kind of people digest mostly all kind of foods, what's in the season, and cook, and if the food is cooked properly, of course, without any much problem. So these people don't complain much about. So you can imagine these are probably healthy people. And then the other Agnis I'm going to talk about how Vata, Pitta, Kapha effect is. So first Agni is Vishma Agni. So Vishma Agni is irregular digestion. So as the word irregular comes here, you can pick up what dosha I'm going to talk about. So I'm talking about involvement of vata here, because one of the quality of vata is irregularity. So vata people would have, if the vata is out of balance, would have very irregular metabolism, which means the person don't feel hungry on time, and they could have bloating, they could have flatulence, they could have a lot of noises when digesting the food, and sometimes they have constipation, sometimes they have diarrhea. So we can correlate this Vishma Agni with IBS kind of symptoms. So that's kind of imbalanced vata. So what vata is? Dry, light, and cold. So you can kind of correlate eating dry, light, and cold salads gonna cause Vishma Agni. So to balance the Vishma Agni, you need to eat warm, cooked food and mild spices in the food and regular eating. And that's how the Vishma Agni can easily be changed into the Sama Agni. And then the second Agni is Tikshna Agni, and Tikshna Agni is hypermetabolism, which is related to Pitta dosha, because Pitta people have very strong digestive fire. So people with hypermetabolism, when they have too hot and too sharp qualities dominant in their physiology, so these people often complain that I'm still hungry after eating my dinner. So most of the time, the food passes too quickly from the system. They eat and they go to the toilet and empty too soon, and they're hungry. And some of my patients, even in the ladies, they complain, I just ate my dinners 2 hours ago and I'm still craving for something. So then I tell them, yeah, the pitta is a little bit too much in your system. So that's where the Agni go, a bit of hypermetabolism. So if this is not looked after, and that could be because of eating too sharp food, too much of chilies, too much of kind of bitter food, too much of fermented food in your system. So could be too many pickles or too many kind of bread or too much of dairy product, which is cheese. So that causes kind of hypermetabolism. So for these people, you need to kind of have more cooling quality of the food, which is more coriander, fresh mint, cooling pitta churna, and cooling pitta spices to the drinks like pitta tea, and having more amla, because amla is the one of the ingredients in triphala. Amla is cooling, so either amla in any form, powder form, fresh form, amla juice. Another tip for Tikshna Agni is having a bit of aloe vera juice diluted with water during the day, also calm down the heat in the body. So that's for the Tikshna Agni. And the third one is Manda Agni. So Manda Agni is sluggish metabolism, and you can easily say, oh, that's kapha. So too much involvement of the kapha element, because kapha is heavy, so that overpower the digestive system. So kapha, Manda Agni people say they don't feel hungry all day, and I hear that a lot from kapha people saying, I don't feel hungry for my breakfast. And sometimes I have to kind of force myself to feed. And then if I don't eat later on the day, they might be craving for heavy food like sugar, chocolate, and things like that. And this also happens in the people when they don't listen to the calls for hunger. So they are kind of hunger is a natural urge. So when you're hungry, you're busy, you just fill yourself with a coffee or a tea and a chocolate. Then you're easy settling the Manda Agni into your system. So regular eating habits are very important to deal with the Manda Agni, and stimulating spices, cinnamon, ginger. So easy tip that we normally give to people is ginger, lemon, and honey before you eat is stimulate your digestive fire a lot. And kapha churna, kapha tea into your food. And triphala and trikatu. These are two wonderful herbs to deal with the Manda Agni as well. So there are a lot of other herbs and a lot of things that you can take to help with all of these three imbalances into your digestive fire. So, and then physical activities, regular walk, regular exercise, yoga, asana, other things you can do as well with it.
Okay, Vinder, that's great. So we have balanced digestion, and then we basically have it broken down into Vata, Pitta, Kapha, which at this stage people are going to be able to recognize. So I think it's very important that everybody should try figure out, where their digestive fits in all of that, and because then you can take the appropriate action to bring it back around and bring it well. So I think for everybody, Rajvinder, eating your main meal in the middle of the day would definitely be recommended.
Absolutely. because we have done in the lectures before the importance of your daily routine. So when the sun is high in the sky, your digestive systems work stronger. So if we miss that and we eat a heavy dinner, we are next day, of course, we won't be hungry, and then the pattern keeps going on, and we don't connect to ourselves very well, and we are setting ourselves into one of those imbalance in our digestive fire. So then we can't have too much of ojas in our system, and maybe we could have disturbance in one of the 7 tissues that Dr. Naheed was explaining, that easily imbalance could settle in according to what we are doing, how we are eating, when we are eating, where we are eating. All that is very important to have a balanced digestive fire.
So main meal in the middle of the day and really just a very light meal in the evening time. I imagine have that meal before 7 o'clock. Would that be?
Yes, because we have spoken about 6 to 10, which is the kapha time of the day. And that time, as the sun is going down, and that's the time when body starts producing more melatonin. So our physiology kind of slow down. So our digestive system slow down as well. So we cannot digest a big or heavy meal at that time. So it's good. Again, you self-refer. Depends if you're hungry or not. Some pitta people, they cannot do liquid day, they cannot do fasting, they cannot do light meal. So they might eat substantial dinner, but again, not overfeeding themselves. As Ayurveda say, your portion is very important. So 3/4 of your stomach should be full and 1/4 of your stomach should be empty. So you kind of have to kind of self-refer yourself to on that, how much food you want in the evening time, because some people, different people have different kind of desires or needs. Vata people are okay. Kapha people are okay when without a dinner or a very light, kind of a golden milk. Pitta might need a bit of a substantial lentil stew or curry with rice, something like that. Yes.
Okay, and that's interesting. So you fill the stomach to 3/4 and then you leave 1/4 of the stomach full. So,
exactly.
So you shouldn't be really eating like a Christmas dinner where you can barely stand up afterwards, because then you're not leaving room for the system to digest everything.
Exactly. That's what Ayurveda tells you. You need to connect with yourself. So we have educated you, Ayurveda educates you about what's going on in your physiology. So now you can see at what level is my digestive fire. Am I in a balanced state? Do I feel hungry on time? Do I feel light after eating? I don't feel heavy, sleepy, groggy after that. Do I not have too many noises or bloating or flatulence after eating? So from there, if any of that is happening, either you can take help of a Ayurveda practitioner to help you to bring the balance back, or you follow the guideline of Vata, Pitta, Kapha and correct your digestive fire and enjoy kind of a good digestive system, regular elimination. And if your food is digesting well, your sleep is better and your energy levels are better. So it's, again, the ball is in your court, really. So.
Okay, so everything is really tied into digestion here, because as we say, if we're digesting the food properly, we're making the right tissues, the tissues are unfolding into the other tissues. So the whole health of the system comes back to the digestive process. And even our immunity, after what Dr. Brennan said, like most of our immunity is in our gut. So obviously having a very healthy gut and not putting wrong things in there is very, very important for our immunity. I also believe it's important for our emotional and mental health as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are very emotional, depressed, anxious, it has a huge impact on your digestive system, because as they say, there's a big connection between your gut and mind. So if you're doing emotional eating, you probably end up with a very sluggish metabolism and you end up putting on weight, and that's kind of kapha indication. If you're angry and irritated and you're eating food, you are setting a lot of inflammation in your system. If you're stressed and worried and you're eating, you are setting a lot of kind of degeneration in your system. So of course your mental health is very important as well. So.
But it's probably a two-way street, is it? Like your mental state can affect your digestion, but your digestion probably also affects your mental state as well.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. So that's why when the physician assess a person, they're not only asking questions about the symptoms, they also check the person's environment, what's going on in their environment, what's their social life, what's their spiritual life, and what's their kind of emotions and all of that. Is there any past trauma? Is there any childhood history? So we kind of evaluate all the different aspects of a person's life, and we may not give them any herb. We just say, okay, you just learn the transcendental meditation, or you just do the yoga, or you just do some pranayama. So yeah, there will be a program tailored according to what's going on in the person's mind, in their body. So it's not only dealing with the symptoms, you have to deal all the different aspects of a person's life.
Okay, Dr. Rajendra. So thank you very much for that. So there we have it, the very, very important area of digestion. So maybe Dr. Brennan might like to give a little summation of everything that we've covered today.
I think it's fascinating, Noel, to come to this part of the course and to see it all come together, and to see the wealth of wisdom that Ayurveda has to offer, just with those reflections of Dr. Rajvinder, how all the various aspects of our life, our environment, our emotion, our thinking, how in terms of the balance and imbalance of our nature with Vata, Pitta and Kapha, we now actually come to see how that impacts in the transformation of the nourishment we ingest into the tissues and the structure that we are. And at so many levels, at the initial level of the primary stages of digestion in the gut, but how the gut in turn, it's controlling and influencing profoundly the liver functions and the tissue metabolisms. And so Ayurveda is tracing from cause in life right through the processes in the physiology to the outcome of either perfect health or some disease, whereabouts it's located. And then Ayurveda can address it in the tissues. It can address it in the digestive system. It can address it in the life in terms of the balance of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So all of these give so many different strategies that can, be used in combination to synergize, to give an overall influence of integration back to the physiology of balance and coherence. And it's amazing that we come from consciousness in a sense, because that's our fundamental, which becomes lively as mind, structuring a body. And then we have this immense capacity to take the material form and transform it within us to finer and finer essences in our tissues, until ultimately what Dr. Naheed talked about, ojas. And that ojas is what actually so integrates us that we completely awaken the whole field of consciousness. It's the field of perfect health and enlightenment, which is the aim of Ayurveda. Such a rich combination of insights that come together in order for us either to treat the disease or to prevent this disease, or to take us forward in terms of our well-being, our joy in life, our health. It's a lovely, I think, perspective to bring the lectures of the course together and synergize into this final, beautiful, ojasic project.
Okay, Dan, I think that's a great summation of the whole thing. So thanks very much for that. So the ultimate thing is, the ultimate goal of health is the production of ojas and happiness, and having that state of exalted consciousness, really perfect health, and everything being just a part of that whole thing, So I'm sure that lots of questions have come up about that. We covered an awful lot of ground in today's talks. So again, we're going to start our Q&A session. And again, we'll give preference to people who have questions about the topic of the day. We will endeavour to answer all questions, but we will give preference to people who talk about the topic of the day. So I'll thank the doctors, and then the doctors will hang on, and we'll go over and we'll begin our Q&A session. Now, let's see how we're doing. If we have some doctors on there. There's Don. Now, Don, you should be able to unmute. You disappeared, your camera disappeared. And Dr. Rajvinder. Now, Dr. Raj, you there?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay, so really, really important topic about getting the digestion right, and we covered a lot of ground in that in the course this week as well. So as Dr. Naheed was explaining, 4 main types of digestion: when it's very balanced, when everything is taken in and transformed in the right way, and then you have vata, which is irregular, you have pitta, which is the fire, and then you have the kapha, which is dull. So, and then different things you can do depending on, you have to watch what you eat, you have to use herbs and spices, the times that you eat, all those things to get that digestion correct. Because I think it's fair to say, Don, if your digestion's not right, it's going to be very difficult to have good health, really, isn't it?
It's the core, it's the essence. All the effects of vata, pitta, and kapha will work on the various aspects of Agni, which is digestion and metabolism. And that'll then impact on all the tissues of the body and accumulating ama or toxins. Whereas when the digestion works well, it's accumulating ojas, which is vitality and strength and health, which is what we want. So, yeah, you're right there, Noel.
Okay.
Pata asked, how would you know that 2.75 of his stomach? Well, the Ayurvedic measure is the 2 handfuls. So that's according to the old text, 2 handfuls will fill your stomach to
Other way to look at it.
Many people.
Other way to look at it is when you're eating mindfully, you're tuning, you're not just watching the screen and eating. When you're actually tuning into the food, you realize like you're almost full. And maybe there's an extra portion where you say you're tempted to finish it, but if that will be overeating. So use your intuition to tune in yourself. When your body is tuning with the food, your mind is tuning with your gut, then when your 3/4 of your stomach is full. So then all you need is a little sip of water or lassi with your lunch. So that way, because most of us nowadays just eat without awareness, and that's a little problem here.
Yeah, and you definitely know when you've overeaten. So don't get into that state where you've overeaten, There's a very serious question. My friend has just been diagnosed with bowel cancer. Can Ayurveda help? So
I think with bowel cancer, you'll have to go the medical route. But the doctor will treat the disease, and some of the treatments are not easy. And the more you take care of your health, the better you'll manage those treatments and come through. And the more, in my experience, with the use of Ayurveda, better results happen with the medical treatment when combined with Ayurveda. So there's no reason why not. Ayurveda treats the person and is about the healing, whereas the medicine treats the disease. So they're not incompatible at all. They complement each other. So sad news. The best thing you can do, Jean, for your friend is just be there for her. That's the best medicine for her at this time. And there's a question about foods that cause pain, wind. Is it possible to strengthen digestion to enable me to eat foods that cause pain, wind, and frequent visits to the toilet? And I also have to limit fat and fiber intake. It was very interesting. Yes, I mean, that's what Rajvendra was talking about. Everything she was saying was about supporting your digestion, because, if you have these complaints, it's because you're just not managing the digestion. The digestion is not working well for you. The first thing is to learn to manage your digestion. The second thing is to learn to strengthen your digestion. And the third thing is then to look at the foods. Because just to blame the foods is to miss out on the more fundamental realities of how you're eating, when you're eating, how much you're eating, how you're even cooking, the spices you're using, and then all the strategies you can put in place to strengthen digestion, and the use of herbals as well for that purpose. There's lots you can do, Fiona. Frozen foods, chilled, cooked foods, meat. Frozen foods is second best. Always fresh, cooked, organic would be the ideal. But if needs must, and there has to be a way of preserving some foods, then frozen. But when you're unfreezing them and then heating them, use a little ginger to help your digestion, because the freezing of the food makes the food that little bit more difficult to digest. And chilled cooked food, add a little ghee when you're cooking, when you're reheating the chilled cooked foods, to try and preserve some of the freshness or vitality that's there. And meat, good. No, meat not good. I don't know what the question really alludes to, but it says meat good, question mark, answer, meat not good. Better.
Depends. It depends.
There you
If
are.
you're, yeah, if you're Vata, I wouldn't say straight meat not good, because there are certain conditions where you need to. So it depends. But if you have a very sensitive system going on at the moment, then you better just avoid it for some time until, yeah, definitely you can work on digestion. And Denise is saying if rheumatoid and osteoarthritis directly related to the food, it's food plays a big role, but I wouldn't say it's the only factor. It's your lifestyle, it's a stress, what other things are going on in your life. Everything matter, because Ayurveda say the health is not the absence of the physical symptoms, it's the well-being of a person on the physical, mental, emotional, environmental, and spiritual. So all those factors has to be in the right balance. So when Ayurveda physician talk to you, they go through everything what's going on. Sometimes food is right, but the emotions aren't. So that could be the factor here as well. For most of autoimmune problems, rheumatoid and all is a pitta imbalance, and pitta could be a lot of suppressed emotions, anger. So yeah, it could be other factors too, but yeah, food plays a big role as well.
I think it's fair enough to say with nearly any disease that there's multi-factors playing here. It's not always just one thing. As you say, it's your stress, it's your relationships, it's your work, it's your happiness, it's your food, it's all of those things playing in together. And we need to get them right. In relation to meat, take the same thing. If you're going to eat meat, the same thing, as unprocessed as possible, as natural in its natural state as possible, if you can.
And, in relation to the various contributing factors, the more you live the Ayurvedic lifestyle, the more you're bringing a balance, which, even if there's some factors out, the way you're living is balancing. So you're getting healthier. It makes it easier to recognize what you're doing wrong as well, because it starts to stand out. And so tummy pains every evening, Francis, after a very light evening meal, regardless of what you eat. And that comes back probably to what Noel was saying. I mean, Vata increases between 2 and 6 in the afternoon. Is it possible that your Vata is getting out of balance through rushing, strain, erratic routines, or tiredness or whatever? And then the Vata might upset your digestion later in the evening. But the other thing is your digestion itself, because it shouldn't be that easily upset. It should be strong. So the digestive advice that Rajvinder were giving, ways of strengthening digestion, because obviously you shouldn't be having tummy pain. It's just information that you need to start out. Probably your gut along with your digestion.
It could be trap wind, maybe do some yoga postures like Pavan Muktasana, knee to your chest. That could be in the mid 2 to 6 Vata time. You might have Vata accumulation, or if you're having a snack or something, or try ginger, lemon, honey before you eat. That might help.
Either way, you need to do something about it, because that can't be nice every evening.
Yeah.
Stomach pains. That's very inhibiting. So I would say, if you don't resolve that through the advices given here, then get a consultation with an Ayurvedic doctor, because you need to resolve that issue. If you don't resolve it, it just gets worse.
Yeah.
Might be drinking a lot of tea. Yeah. Tea could be a problem. Yeah. Good snacks, yes, Pat. Golden milk is one, and you can have maybe couple of pre-soaked almonds, date, raisins. There's the basics one, but if you have a big appetite and you're really hungry for a snack, then maybe homemade flapjacks and macadamia nuts bites. Yeah, you can do healthy snacks. But I say have few almonds and maybe eat with a date or raisins. So you can have that.
Fruit makes a wonderful snack as well.
Fruits are great.
Fruit, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Fruit.
Yeah, like raspberry, they're very juicy and easy to chew and eat, because some people don't eat fruit because it's a work, like apple and a pear. But simple raspberry, black blueberries, those are nice little snacks.
And Veena is asking about raw almonds better than plain roasted ones. Veena, you're right actually in that almonds, nuts can be a little hard to digest, and what makes them easier to digest is either you soak them overnight in water and then rinse them, dry them, and they're more digestible after that. And another way is, dry roasting them. Plain roasted would make it more easy to digest the almonds. So it's interesting. You have an intolerance for the raw nuts because it just means you can't digest them, because they are harder to digest, and yet when you roast them, it makes them more digestible, so you can digest them, and that's really what you're meaning in terms of the intolerance.
Lenny's saying, any advice for weight loss? Well, all we were talking about the digestion today, weight is a kapha issue. So kapha need to have a light breakfast, light dinner. So if you just follow that, no meal after 6 o'clock, that will help. And try to eat warm and 3/4 of your stomach full, 1/4 empty. So, and stay active. So these are the basic advices. And the ginger juice, ginger, lemon, honey before you eat.
And it's so frequent. People who just start doing the advices in relation to the digestion lose weight. You're amazed because they didn't expect it, but it naturally happens because your system is only holding on to weight because you're not allowing it to be normal by your habits.
Yeah, intermittent fasting and a lot of different strategy. There are herbs as well that could help you.
Well, I think a lot of people lost weight on our first detox. I mean, I lost 3.5 kg on that week, and I wasn't really expecting to lose weight. I think somebody lost a stone, and it was quite frequent that people were saying they lost 4 or 5 kgs. Now, whether they keep it off is another thing or not, but that's a matter of not going back to bad habits, I suppose. But best foods to help sluggish digestion. I have a fair idea, but sure, Rajvinder, you're the food expert.
Well, you can tell it. Come on, you just did the course.
Yeah, well, I would think that avoid heavy foods like cheeses and meats and breads and things like that, and just go for light foods that are freshly cooked, freshly prepared, and with some, pungent, astringent spices in them as well. You have your main meal in the middle of the day. Don't tax your digestion too late at night. Definitely have your main meal in the middle of the day. Don't eat between meals. And then if it's very, very sluggish, you could use maybe something like Trickatoo might help before a meal. It's 3 peppers that kind of gets the fire lit, So basically, if you have a sluggish digestion, that's called a kapha digestion. Dr. Naheed talked about it. The flame has just gone out. It's dull. So you need to do whatever you can to spark it up again. But it's like a fire. You imagine if the flame is barely going, you don't throw a bucket of coal on it. You just kill it. You just put a little bit of wood on it, dry wood or something to get it going. So the same with that, just light foods, warm and well cooked, no raw foods or anything like that. And use some nice spices like ginger and turmeric and some of the heating spices. Am I right, Dr. Rajvinder?
Yes, very good. You still remember your theory. Well done. Yeah, so ginger, lemon, honey is a great one, like Noel said, Trickatoo. Sorry, Dr. Don?
We have a very interesting development here where Noel is now beholden as a student.
Yes. And the CCFT, cumin, coriander, fennel tea, that's a great one to add. Yeah, well done, Noel, great.
Yeah. Oh, he's a very good student, isn't he, Raj?
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
What does Ayurveda say about blood type diet? Well, Ayurveda has been around for thousands of years, and the blood type diet has been around for about 10. So what I can say is that I've read about the blood type diet to see were there any equivalences, and really I couldn't see that they matched up. And so I'm not saying anything against the blood type diet, but it's not an Ayurvedic diet.
I looked at my blood type diet, and it just the foods were not what foods that were suitable for me. Absolutely not. I couldn't find any relation between the two things. So I suppose it's up to everybody to decide what they want to do, but I couldn't tie them up in any way. And I wouldn't eat the foods that my blood type was suggesting for me, to be honest.
Yeah, great. Well, if it suits you, it's fine.
Yeah. Everybody's got to. Nobody's telling anybody what to do. We all make our own way in this world. This is just an Ayurvedic perspective. Whether you want to take it or not is completely up to yourself. I never tell anybody what to do. I don't like being told what to do, and I don't tell people what to do. If people ask for advice, that's fine. That's a different thing,
Yeah, you have to experience it and see if it worked for you or not.
Stephanie, I'm still losing weight. Yeah, so that's after the detox.
Mary asks, what problem if there are bowel movements while eating and after directly and up to 3 times overnight? Mary, there's a condition in Ayurveda called grahini, and grahini means to hold. So your digestive system, your stomach, your upper intestine should hold food and then gradually release it to pace the timing of digestion through the whole intestines. But if the digestive system is weak, the power of holding is weak. And if the power of holding is weak, then the stomach and intestine don't hold, and therefore the food starts to rush through. And if it's then rushed through the intestines, it doesn't get properly digested, and then you start having more frequent bowel motions. So Mary, it's a matter of getting your digestion strong. And it's all that we're talking about tonight. It's everything. And if you don't sort it yourself, then, perhaps you might consider a consultation, because digestion is generally something that Ayurveda has good, reasonably quick results with.
Stephanie said she's still losing weight. Sorry, no.
Yeah, no, I read that one. Yeah, no, go ahead, Rajendra. How do I control acid reflux, which comes and goes due to anxiety? Well, you need to get rid of the anxiety. Is one of the things you need to do. So meditation, I think, would be, or you need to talk to somebody and find out why. Maybe some counseling or whatever. My preference is always transcendental meditation. I think it's a great way of dealing with anxiety. Just going back to that stillness inside of yourself, that part of you that's beyond all of this material world and these changes and everything like that, and just enlivening that stillness. And I've seen it having great effects with people on anxiety. But that's how there's no point in controlling the acid reflux if you're not, the root cause of the acid reflux you're saying is the anxiety. So you need to get rid of you need to deal with the anxiety, you need to, and it's a vata condition. Don, you're going to say something?
Yeah. Just taking off of where you left off, Noel, the vata condition. You have 2 vatas now that are very powerful in your body and mind. And one relates to your mind. It's called prana, and it's up in the head, and it moves up. That's its direction. And if it's moving up too much, you get spaced out. So prana in anxiety is overactive, an overactive vata. The other vata is down at the other end of the body. It's in your pelvis, the apana vata. And this is the most powerful of the vatas physically. So the apana vata should move down because you want to go to the toilet, you want to pass wind, you want to pass bowel motion, waterworks, period, childbirth, downward movement. So now what happens is, with too much going on up here, prana is having this huge upward influence which pulls the apana vata up. So your apana vata, the vata in your pelvis, is now like air and space, wind, and it's pushed up on fire. Fire is your stomach, your midriff. And so the vata is now pushing the pitta, the fire, up, and the heartburn happens. So, you really want to settle the vata. So anxiety is increased vata, too much movement. So you need a good night's rest, you need to relax meals, you need to do your oil massage, you need to have your day off every week, you need to enjoy nice, relaxing meals, even the vata foods. So your balancing vata will help your anxiety. But as Noel points out, it's coming from your mind. If you settle your prana with your TM, that's a really powerful strategy for this. You can also, you can use the ASI balance tablets as well to see if they have, because they're working on mind and body. Or you could use peace of mind tablets to help quieten your anxiety.
MA575 is the ASI balance and MA1401 is the peace of mind. Here's a question that's answered itself. Sally Hayden says, if I have oranges in the evening, I wake up in the night with tummy aches. There you go, Sally. There's no need for any of us to say anything. I think you know the answer to that.
Well, it is beautiful because Sally is in touch and recognizes what's the cause and what's the effect. And that's what comes of being quite Ayurvedically orientated. You start to know.
Exactly.
And Marion wants to make baby steps in the Ayurvedic practice about foods. And Marion, you're right.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Baby step. We'll keep going forward.
Don't try to change everything in one go. You'll just fall back. Just do it a little at a time.
Eva is saying the acne on face, is it like similar to Chinese Any skin condition in Ayurveda is considered the heat in the liver. So that's acne depends on what age group you're talking about. In the teenagers and in the pitta age of life, which is from the 14, 12 to maybe 50. And so in that age group, it's all pitta related and it's related to liver. So I don't know what Chinese medicine would say on that.
Can I read?
Is green tea is brilliant. And are roast nuts okay, not salted? Brilliant. Sorry, Noel, go ahead.
I want to read something. I want to read from my notes. Okay. This is procedure for changing unhealthy habits. Okay. So this is from Charak Samhita, which is one of the ancient texts. Okay. A wise person should gradually give up unsuitable practices to which he is habituated, and he should simultaneously adopt those which are suitable. So the first resolution, one should give up 1/4 of the unsuitable practice and correspondingly adopt 1/4 of the suitable practice. Second resolution, a half of the unsuitable practice is to be given up and half of the suitable one is to be adopted. The third resolution, the above level of discontinuation should be maintained. The fourth resolution, 3/4 of the unsuitable practice is to be given up and 3/4 of a suitable one is to be adopted. Fifth resolution, the above level of discontinuation should be maintained. The sixth resolution, the above level of discontinuation should be maintained. And the seventh resolution, the process of giving up the unsuitable practice and adopting the suitable practice is completed on the seventh resolution. By slowly and gradually giving up the unsuitable practices and by increasing the suitable practices, correspondingly, the unsuitable practices are eradicated for good and the suitable practices are fully adopted. So that's from Charak Samhita, which is, I don't know how old it is, but it's very, very old anyway. So 7 steps of change, and very, very gradual, because otherwise it's too easy to fall back. They are, Dr.
It works. 2,000 years, Noel, of experience
Speaking.
from that text.
Yeah.
Yes. And doesn't roasting nuts reduce the nutritional value? Well, that's the interesting question. You see, it's like people who say eat raw foods, but you can eat what you like. If you can't digest and absorb, you don't get a lot out of it. So even though you may lose a little in the roasting, your digestion will probably be able to absorb more from it. So I think it's not a problem. How much ginger in the ginger, lemon, honey? Sorry, Raj.
I was just adding into you, nuts and seeds have the enzyme inhibiting factor in them. That's why some people find them difficult to digest. So that's why the soaking or roasting make it more available for your digestive system. So actually it's better if you soak it or you gently roast it. You don't have to make it like golden brown, just a gentle roast. So the oil is released and this enzyme inhibiting factor, they are not that active. So that's the purpose.
Lovely. How much ginger in ginger, lemon, honey? You can either freshly grate the ginger or chop it, or if you have a juicer, you could even extract the juice and make a jungle juice, as it's called, which is the juice with lemon and honey. You'll need lots of honey in the juice because it's very hot. But yeah, do it to taste is my suggestion, because you really have the ginger pieces, you're wetting them with the lemon juice, you're putting a pinch of salt, unless you have a blood pressure problem, and then as much honey makes it yummy.
So maybe 1 to 2 teaspoons per day if you're making it for the day. So you can take half a teaspoon. So that is your basically ginger, that's what making it half, and a few drops of fresh lemon and a 1/4 teaspoon of honey. So that way you can, but I normally suggest people make a batch that lasts you a week. So a little jar, 50 gram, 100 gram. So 3/4 of the jar you fill with ginger and the rest is the other ingredients.
And Betty has shared with us that she did have colon cancer over 6 years ago, and hopefully that is a reassurance to Jean, because certainly it's now one of the cancers that are responding increasingly well to treatments, and over which there's more hope than there was 10 years ago. But however, Betty is saying, can the digestive system come back to normal after that? It's a difficult question to answer, Betty, because the treatment may have involved removing a lot of colon, or may have involved using surgery to remove a little, and depends on the other extremes of treatment that you may have had to undergo. But you know, for many people who've gone through that procedure, the digestion works quite normally, and it should be possible. But certainly, the better you take care of it, the more it's going to come back to normal.
So the Sally has added to that, sorry, the same question that just you said. Sally said she had the same problem and Dr. Don helped her to get her system back. So that's the answer.
Oh, good. That's nice to know.
Yeah, 10 years ago it was so for this person. So that's a reassurance.
Abby's talking about her daughter getting red patches on her cheek and cheekbones, especially as soon as summer starts. You see it, Abby? You can see it immediately. It's pitta. And as soon as the pitta season comes in, her pitta is too high. So there's a lot you can do to balance her pitta, particularly around her diet. It's a great way of balancing her pitta. So yes, do that. Use the pitta reducing foods. And you know, some cooling oil like coconut oil may be nice for her to use as a moisturizer regularly, have a cooling effect. You could use Radiant Skin herbal tablets as well to help from within, because there's a brajika, there's a pitta in the skin that's to do with the metabolism there, and the herbs in that will be more cooling and calming.
And that's a similar type of question. How can we calm the liver in relation to skin disease? So again, the liver is a pitta organ. So everything that's good for pitta is going to help with the liver, and everything that's bad for pitta, like alcohol, is going to be bad for the liver as well, you know. But yeah, cooling foods, aloe vera juice, aloe vera, and MA579 liver care tablets or liver care tonic. And avoiding pitta foods, acidic, very, very hot things, you know.
Watermelons coming in the season. The watermelons are great for calming the heat. As the ginger tea bags, waste of money. If you can make it at home, I say it's better. Make it from scratch.
Tara's son has eczema on the inside of his elbow. And again, we're talking about the brajika, probably. The Radiant Skin herbal may be something to try. Turmeric is great. Aloe vera is good amongst foods. Just try those things, see how you go. If necessary, you know, let him have an Ayurvedic consultation. There may be more.
Yeah. Nabita is saying ginger lemon honey combo, good for Vata, perfect for Vata.
And then someone asked about ginger lemon tea bags, useful or a waste of time. I would think ginger and lemon are two products that are very easy to get. You know, you just go to your supermarket and buy fresh lemons and buy fresh ginger. So I imagine that that's far better than a tea bag. But maybe, I don't know, maybe the tea bag wouldn't be any harm either. But my automatic preference there would be just buy the root ginger and the lemon. Have you seen them, Dr. Rajvinder, in Lidl?
Yeah, of course. I just said that it's better if you can make it fresh at home.
Yeah.
And because they don't really taste the same as you make it fresh. I think we have got through most of the questions, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we can finish early tonight.
Somebody was saying about. Sorry, go.
Fascinating, because on other courses we've had hundreds of questions that we couldn't keep up with. Very nice.
Seems like our audience is already educated enough.
Yeah, I think we have a very educated audience here. A very educated audience. I think some people here have done the course. Actually, some people should be given this course at this stage.
Yeah.
From Jean, did I miss you calling it out? Following detox, I lost 11 pounds. My blood pressure and cholesterol are normal for the first time in my entire life. Thank you all so much. Yes, Jean.
Is that Jean McGinnis?
Wonderful.
I wonder. Was there a surname there, Don?
McGinnis.
Is it Jean McGinnis? Oh, fantastic. Yeah, great. Well done, Jean. That's great. Great news. I think your husband did the course with you as well, as far as I know, as far as I remember. So that's
The sprouted mung beans better than normal mung beans. If you're, yeah, you have to kind of steam them so they're easy on your digestive system. So yeah, they of course sprout have a bit more nutrition, but yeah, you have to cook them well because sometimes the raw could be a bit hard on your system. The fennel tea is great after meals. Yes, don't know if you get that.
so. Just to let you know, our next course is starting next Tuesday. We're back to lesson 1 again next Tuesday. We have, I think, about 250 people booked in on that, but obviously we need a lot more people. So if you can read. What I'll do when I'm sending out the review for this lesson, I'll give you the link. I think I sent it today as well, and I'll be doing a lot of advertising on Facebook this weekend. So any of you that are on Facebook, go to our center page. I'll put the link in and share the link on your page, so we can get as many people to come on the next course as well. So I'll send that link out to you. And as I say, I'll be running a lot of ads, so keep an eye out for the ads, and share the posts if you can. Just the more it gets shared around the place, the more people will know about it. We do have a 7th lesson. Maybe most of you have probably done it already, the 6 stages of disease. We will organize to run that for you at some stage. The other thing I always do on courses is I give out a voucher to people so that they get a discount off the products. I normally give it out on the 5th lesson, but I won't be giving that out until after this weekend, but I will give it out next Monday or Tuesday. I'll send you a voucher code that you can use to order stuff online. It's just we're catching up with stuff here, and I just don't want a whole load of another orders in while we're waiting to get the current ones out. And we also have all the detox packs going out, so we're all pretty busy. But I'll send that voucher out to you next week. And one of the things that you can use that voucher for is all our replay webinars, not our live webinars or not our consultations, but our replay webinars. And we have lots of webinars up on the system, great cookery courses, webinars on the thyroid, on arthritis, on lifestyle medicine, on Dr. Naheed's one. It's not up yet on eyes, ears, nose, throat, and skin care, but that will be up by next week as well. So I'll send that voucher out to you next week as a thank you for coming on the course and for helping to spread the knowledge and let other people know about this. So there's nice things coming in there.
No, just an important one. Somebody has a little skin tag that's cancerous, and what to do about it? Get it removed is the answer to that. Very simple. I mean, surgery was part of Ayurveda. 2,000 years ago, there was a fantastic Ayurvedic surgical textbook. The instruments that they used then and some of the surgeries they performed are as is done nowadays. So surgery is actually an aspect of Ayurveda, but something like a skin cancer, you just have it removed because there's no further problem. It's done. It's gone. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Just
Melon,
act very quickly,
Yeah, and watermelon would increase kapha, and
Yes, it's mainly for pitta. I said for pitta, and only in the summertime.
it's a bit hard to digest. It's better eaten on its own rather than with food.
Oh yeah, not with food. No, as a snack or a fruit whenever you eat your fruits.
Yeah, so the digestive system has a free run at it. Again, it's the ginger. Chop up, 1/2-inch ginger root, put a squeeze of lemon, enough to wet it, a pinch of salt, and as much honey as makes it tasty. Those are the proportions. And then that you can use for the day before each meal.
I see Angela in Morocco is still joining us, so that's great, Angela. Thanks for that. Yeah, lots of people saying thank you. No, thanks to you as well for coming along. Dr. Naheed is not with us tonight, but she'll get a chance to see a replay of this. We'll send it to her, and she sends her love to everybody, and I'm sure I'll pass on your good wishes to her. Big thank you to Dr. Rajvinder and Dr. Brennan for coming on every week and sharing their wisdom. We're nearly a year. We're more than a year doing this every Tuesday and Thursday. You know where to find us for the last over a year, so it's a big commitment on their part to come on every week and share all this knowledge. And I think they do it because they see such positive results coming from people, and so we always like to hear your very positive comments. Okay, everybody.
It's a massive, massive transformation now. We have a huge new responsibility. Rajvinder and myself, we're going to be overburdened with this new demanding student who's demanding enough as a boss. We should finish off by giving Noel the credit, because we wouldn't be here talking to you and you wouldn't be here listening to us and asking your wonderful questions were it not for Noel's dynamism and organizing skills. So, you know, it's a huge influence for good in the country and in our countries that Noel is doing all of this for us. So we really appreciate him. And we appreciate all of you. Our fulfillment is, you know, your comments of success in your creating health. And we just want to encourage you in all that you're doing to be healthy.
Yeah. Thanks very much for that, Dr. Brennan. Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's great organizing all of this, you know. And your way of thanking us, if you want to thank us, is to spread the knowledge. Just, I'm not asking you to evangelize about it or anything like that. Just say to people, I did this course. It's free. It's really good. Here's the link. Just leave it at that. You don't have to say anything more or share it on Facebook or something like that. That's just the way that you do it, you know. Okay, everybody, that's fantastic. A big namaste to everybody. Thanks very much. I'll be seeing you tomorrow, Dr. Brennan and Dr. Rajvinder. I'll be seeing both of you tomorrow. And we're back on next.
No, I'm not joining. No, I'm busy.
No. Later on.
You cheated.
Or Raj gets the work.
No worries. Next time.
There's Anne Keane. She's been in every course since the 16th of June and learning all the time. That's great, Anne. So another one starting next Tuesday. So go in and register for that now. I'll send you out all the links, all the important links tomorrow. So thanks a million, everybody. Take care. And yeah, okay, everybody. Good night. And we'll hopefully be seeing you soon. You'll be on our, you know. Okay,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
God bless.